Now, Gabriel Aluisy in studio here with me. He is the owner of Shake Creative. You can learn more about him at shaketampa.com. He's also the Chief Marketing Officer for Synergistic Funding. And, Gabe, you're heading to Thailand later this year to give a keynote at the Asia Pacific Golf Summit. What are you speaking about, and why is it so important to golf clubs and businesses around the world?
Well, I'm speaking about what we've been talking about this morning, marketing to millennials. And, historically, golf and the country club business has been sort of the refuge of the older generation.
Are millennials going to the golf clubs and the country clubs?
They're not like they should be, and that's what we're going to change.
So how do you drive millennials to the country clubs these days? What are their, and speaking of which, what are their country clubs these days? I don't know. The Starbucks?
The Ritz and Newport?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Starbucks, because that's an interesting concept that's becoming more popular in the club industry, is to make the club really the third place. So you've got your home, you've got your work, and then you've got your club. That's your third place, which is like your Starbucks, the place you go hang out every day, and you see your friends, and you know who's who, and you've got your usual order, if you will, and it's just a place where everybody knows everybody.
Now, you specialize in marketing for golf and country clubs. What are some of the ways you're advising them to reach the millennials then?
First thing I'd probably say is that millennials are much more concerned with experiences rather than some of the older generations that might have been more conspicuous consumers, for instance. So focusing on the experiences and what that means to somebody, giving them something unique, something that they've never experienced, that's very important. I think millennials are very in touch with a company's values. They really value another company's values. And if you can kind of put your values front and center, whether that's you support a local charity, or you have a certain culture in your workplace, or you're environmentally friendly, that sort of thing, that sort of stuff is very important to millennials.
Very cool.
Clubs make the mistake, and really a lot of businesses make the mistake of focusing on features rather than an emotional benefit to somebody. So rather than a bullet list of all the different ways that we stand out, instead tell somebody how they're going to feel when they walk in your club or walk in their business, or what your product or service actually adds to their life. So those emotional benefits are so important and are so often missed.
Now, with a country club, I feel like if I don't golf, I don't join. I mean, can you join a country club and not be a golfer?
You sure can. There's all sorts of clubs. There's lots of business clubs. Here in Tampa, we have the Center Club and the Tampa Club.
I guess
Club.
I don't think of it. I mean, when the term country club, and maybe this is just how my perception is, if you say country club, I think golf. I don't know. Right. Is that not really what
that's why we call it private clubs, because
okay.
Private clubs are more encompassing. You've got yacht clubs, you've got tennis and racket clubs. Up north, they have cricket clubs and things like that. So there's all sorts of clubs out there.
Should traditional companies, particularly golf courses where you specialize in, be scared of the millennials?
They shouldn't be scared in the traditional sense, because especially golf clubs and private clubs, they actually have what it takes. They just don't know it. So let me tell you a quick story. I was the first time I ever went to the Philippines, I took this long road trip with my uncle and my best friend, and it was just a harrowing trip. We were on a one-lane highway, which they called the National Highway of the Philippines, but it's a one-lane road in each direction. And we narrowly missed goats and chickens and cattle, and it was just this crazy trip. And we finally arrived 3 or 4 days later, after we'd been up and down on boats and crossing islands. This is the Philippines is 7,000 islands. We got to the bar we were headed, and I looked at the menu, and you could order a rum and Coke for $1. I said, that's nice, yeah. By our money. But a double rum and Coke was 75 cents.
That don't make no sense.
And a triple rum and Coke was 50 cents.
Why is it going down in price for the more alcohol?
That's what I asked the bartender. And she told me, well, sir, it's very simple. Here, Coke costs more than rum.
Wow.
In the Philippines. Yet they had the number one rum. It's called Tanduay. It's the number one rum in the world. It's been voted. So they actually had what I wanted. They just didn't put the right emphasis on it. So business owners, and especially private clubs, already have the things that millennials want. They want the experience. Wow. They want the sense of community.
I want that $1 rum and Coke.
They don't necessarily have a $1 rum and Coke in most places, but they have the things that millennials actually want.
And how important is accessibility for a business on the phone as opposed to using the traditional PC?
It's of extreme importance, and like Naeem and Kay are mentioned, of course, automation being part of that. But technology is a driving need of all people, not just millennials, but even the older generations now. So we created our own app, Course Driver, of course, as you know, we've talked about on this show before. But Course Driver is a mobile app for private clubs, And it makes the experience, again, the experience being the thing, it makes the experience that much more exciting and beneficial for the
Course Driver.
playing
Explain
around.
this. And so why would a club then market this product? What does it do for them?
So what it does for them is that you can order food from the phone. You can walk into any area of the club and have a message pop up. So you can walk into the dining room and get the specials of the day. You can see exactly how far you are to the hole. All kinds of great, exciting things.
How has that been received by the club marketplace out there?
Well, it's a new technology, and in any business, something on the cutting edge gets a little bit of pushback, but I think we're starting to make some headway for sure.
Interesting. I love the innovation and entrepreneurism I always hear in there. So you designed this all by yourself, or did you have to bring in an app developer and help you out with this? How
It's
did it come together?
designed and developed right here in Tampa by my team and another business that we partnered with.
Wow, incredible.
Yep.
So now you're also the host of a podcast. Tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Right. So earlier this year, we started Private Club Radio, and it's the industry's first and only show really dedicated to education announcements. There was nothing like that in the private club world before. So there was a handful of paper and magazines and trade publications, but there was nothing interactive. And so I wanted to create something that people could take on their way to work, while they're working out, that sort of thing. And that's how Private Club Radio came about.
Very cool. Well, we got to wrap up this hour. A great discussion here on this TBBO Tuesdays. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being in studio. Also, Gabriel Aluisy, founder of Shake Creative. You can learn more about him over at shaketampa.com.